proudest day, and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast. The 2026 season has well and truly started. And Connor, the WRC is just about to start as well.
Yeah, the build-up, the excitement, all the chit-chat over the winter, and now finally we're here, and the drama begins, and no better place than the iconic Monte Carlo.
Yeah, it is. Whatever it is about Monte Carlo, it just does get the hairs bristling in the back of your neck. Yeah,
and I think, the last few years, the way it started with practically straight into the nighttime stages, and the crowds, the atmosphere, the flares, the everything, it just, it really is, wow.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to wax lyrically once again how great it is for M Sport to have our guys involved there as well too. Brilliant.
Well, how great it is for us.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, no, look, genuinely, it's absolutely phenomenal. We were blessed last year for Josh joining now to have John and Shane alongside Josh and Owen. It's just absolutely incredible. And we have Aaron sitting alongside Taka as well for another year. Yeah. I mean, we really are overly represented.
Yeah, and then and James Fulton in Rally 2, yeah. And then and the juniors, whenever they come on board then too, later, in Sweden onwards, you're going to have Craig Rochel there as well too. It's just a fantastic time for Irish Rally and all in all.
It is, I remember years ago you looked down entry list looking at the Finns and the Swedes, and now we're looking for the Paddies.
Yeah, so we thought just, kicking off Monte this weekend, who better to talk to than one of the drivers, one of the most world-renowned journalists, and also an engineer too. So we have a wide variety of opinions.
Yeah, look, we got a great mix of people, all connected directly to the WRC, and a fantastic, chance to listen and hear from them as experts in their field, and give us that bit of foresight as literally the clock ticks down to Monte Shakedown.
Yeah, for sure. So now we're just hours away. Let's hear from. First of all, we'll hear from Hayden Paddon, then Luke Barry, and then finally Jimmy McMillan.
So Hayden, last time we spoke was just before Donegal, and before we get on to talk about Monte, what's your memories of Donegal at this stage?
Well, upside down in the ditch. That's one way to remember it. But no, it was an awesome weekend. Just probably the atmosphere and the passion for the rallying in Ireland it caught me by surprise. I knew there was a lot of passion there, but I didn't realise just how much. So it was pretty cool to be part of that. And obviously, with what happened, we've got some unfinished business. So hopefully, we'll get an opportunity to come back again one day soon.
Excellent. And we know that Donegal come about by a phone call in the middle of the night. Your return to the WRC was just one of those. You took a notion one day to send an email, and here you are today.
Yeah, well, it's probably as unexpected for me as what it is for many others, particularly after so long. And, obviously we've had close ties with Hyundai and we've been loyal to the brand for quite some time. And when the news about OIT came out, I was going to bed late at one night and I was just thinking to myself, it's like, it's a very long shot, but, bugger it. What have I got to lose by sending an email and just letting people know that, hey, look, we're still here and maybe we can help. So, didn't expect it would come to this. A nice surprise. But, obviously a big job ahead to do as well. I'm pretty nervous, I guess you could say. Excited and nervous. But, certainly a big challenge ahead.
And Hayden, it's about 8 years since you were last in a Rally 1 top flight level car. You've had a couple of days testing. What are the big differences?
There's a lot of differences. This week we've been able to spend a good day on normal tarmac, so not Monte conditions, but just some good dry tarmac, and to learn what the actual potential of the car is. And Certainly, when you compare to the Rally 2 car, certainly a lot faster. Probably the biggest things is obviously getting used to the aero again. We had the aerodynamics back in 2017-18, but it's quite a different aero balance in the car now. So the feeling and the feedback you get from that is quite unique. Obviously, you have to adapt to the speed. Things are just happening a little bit quicker in the car, and you have to adapt to that. And on a test road, that's not so hard to do. But on a rally, when you're discovering the stages for the first time, certainly makes it a challenge. And just everything, like just the way that the geometry and the chassis working is quite different. The car design philosophy is very different to 8 years ago. Even things like the seating position, with the new space frame chassis and the safety cockpit. We're sitting a long way back in the car, and you don't actually have a lot of vision out your side windows. So just little subtle things like that all make a big difference, and they're just things that we have to get comfortable with as time progresses over the coming events.
Yeah, and we've seen in the last couple of days, you get a chance to test in dry tarmac. Like as you say, maybe not ideal Monte conditions, but there must be no better feeling when that aero works in dry tar and it digs in. What is that sensation like?
Yeah, incredible. Like I've loved driving the car this week. Very, very enjoyable. You got to have a lot of trust and faith in the car and what it's capable of. But once you adapt to that and it becomes second nature, you can just the cars are easier to drive at 80%. It's that last 20%, which it comes down to complete faith in what the car is capable of. And then it does actually become a bit of a mental game, because it's just, telling yourself, I can brake that much later. You can carry 10, 15 kilometers an hour extra through this corner than what you would with a Rally 2 car. So it's just about, I guess, reprogramming yourself to be adapt to that.
And is it easy to reprogram yourself, or is that just repetition and it will hopefully become more simple?
It's time in the seat. At a test, again, it is repetition, but testing is very different to rally. You can get comfortable in a car in a test quite easily. In a rally, when you're doing stages for the first time, you're discovering the stages. It takes time, and for that very reason, we've got to be very realistic going to Monte that we're not going to set the world on fire. We've got to take a methodical approach and just get seat in the time in the car and make sure we complete all the stages and get that mileage under our belt so that we can build on it with each event that we do.
Yeah.
And Hayden, it's been a while since you've been on the Monte, and this year there's quite a few new stages. Do you think that will help level the playing field for you?
It certainly helps someone like myself who doesn't have a lot of recent experience here. But in saying that, the character of the stages here is always very unique and similar in some respects. So people like Seb and Terry, who have done this rally for many, many years, for sure will still have an advantage. And Monte all comes down to the conditions as well, and what weather that we're going to get next week in the build-up, and whether we're going to have a lot of ice and snow, dictates how the rally plays out as well. So at the end of the day, we can only do the best we can and prepare the best we can, and we've done that so far. So let's see what next week brings.
And your story is a story of never give up. It would have been, you've got so many knocks, but you've got up, dusted yourself off, and got back in there again. Somebody starting out in the sport, what kind of advice would you give somebody starting out? Is it just never give up, always keep kicking at doors?
Yeah, 100%. Like if you're passionate about something and you enjoy doing what you're doing, literally never give up. Rally for me has always been my life. It always has been, always will be. And for that very reason, that's why I've stuck at it. It's why I keep enjoying doing what I do. We've stayed loyal to a brand, which at times maybe you've questioned throughout the process, but as things have played out, that loyalty's played a big part. The biggest piece of advice I'd give to anyone, and it's not just for sport, it's in life in general, but it's patience. Particularly when you're young and ambitious, you want things sometimes too quickly and you force the matter. You got to be very patient, and particularly in this game of rallying, which is a very experienced, it is very heavily linked to people with experience. It takes time to build up that experience. It takes time to build up the relationships. And in this case, it takes time for opportunities to come back and revisit us. And, the fact that we didn't give up and we've been actively still competing with our own team and with the Rally 2 car all around the world is what's helped us create this opportunity rather than, sitting at home on the sofa. If we were doing that, we certainly wouldn't be here right now.
And the man sitting beside you, you talk about never giving up and patience and taking your time. 68 years of age, ready to start Monte in the next few days. That is a story in its own.
100%. I think he's retired about 4 times now, but he keeps coming back, a bit like a fine wine. But hey, look, yeah, John and I, like, to think 21 years ago when we set out on this journey together, back home in New Zealand, that we'd be doing this now and coming back to the WRC for a second time, we both would have laughed at you all those years ago. So, yeah, it's been a phenomenal partnership and just the trust that John has in myself, and likewise the job that he does, even at his age. You know, for sure, there's no hiding the fact it must get harder for him. But inside the car, he does a phenomenal job, and you know, because we do have so many new things around us this year with the car and a team, and obviously new events for us as well. Having that common thing alongside me in the car will certainly help us feel more comfortable and hopefully take that aspect out of the changeable factors that are around us.
And did you have much convincing to do with John to get him back in for the WRC?
I never had much convincing. I just give him a call and say, hey, look, this is the plan, are you in or out? And he's always in straight away, so he doesn't even think about it. So that might be a good or a bad thing.
And I suppose final couple of questions. What are the hopes ahead of this year?
Look, the big picture for us is about how we can work with the team long term, and that's probably more around the development testing side. You know, obviously there's going to be a big rule change for next year and going into 27, 28, potentially new cars. You know, we want to be involved in how we can help the team and move towards that. This year, you know, our role is very much a backup role. You know, we're there to score manufacturer points if we needed to. At the end of the day, I'm as realistic as anyone else. You know, we're not necessarily going to be a world champion at the moment. That boat probably sailed 8 years ago. But I still feel like I'm driving at a good enough level where we can support the team, support our teammates. Ultimately, you know, the team want to win the manufacturers championship. If we can help towards that, that's the goal. But long term, it's about, you know, building a good relationship with Hyundai and how our New Zealand team can be involved long term as well. So there's going to be a lot of changeable factors that may or may not present some opportunities.
Yeah, and then final question, I suppose. Next Thursday, sitting in Casino Square, looking around, seeing Seb and those guys, will yourself and John be almost pinching yourself like, how the hell did we end up back here again?
I think at that point, we're going to be as nervous as hell. You know, for so many reasons, this is a massive challenge, this rally, coming back to WRC, but just this rally as well. Yeah, it's felt like this is one of the biggest challenges I've got to face in my life, and it's one that we're taking head on rather than running away from. So there's a factor of just wanting to get the rally started, get in the stage one, settle those nerves, and just chip away at this rally stage by stage, and hopefully we can bring it home.
Look, we're looking forward now to the 2026 WRC. It's only a few hours away nearly at this stage. Excited?
Always. We don't get much of an off-season in rallying, which I think is a good and a bad thing. The bad thing is I think everyone almost feels like they need more time to digest just what they've seen and almost more time to ramp up the excitement. But Monte Carlo is a special event regardless of when it's held in the year. When it's held now at the start of a year, where another year is so many things that are new and exciting. Yeah, I'm buzzing, to be honest. The Thursday is probably one of my favourite days of the entire season because everything is at zero at the start of it.
Yeah, it's, you know, the old saying, the clock's reset. It really is. Like there's just, it doesn't matter what form you had last year. That's gone. That's forgotten about it. It's let's go again.
And it's amazing the psychological difference that will make, because in reality, can much have changed in terms of form from Saudi Arabia at the end? It was less than 2 months ago. Yeah. It's not a long time. So really not much is different. Every car's got a new paint job and stuff, which is cool. But all the drivers are kind of at the same point, so to speak. But they all know that they all have a chance. So, yeah, I love it, to be honest. And, yeah, what a spectacle you always see on a Thursday night is one of the big regrets I have about getting the job I've got is I've never been able to get in amongst that crowd. And I'm scared I've lost my chance. Oh, no, poor me.
First world problems.
Massively first world problems. But it does, yeah, it looks mega, doesn't it? Yeah, it's always an exciting one. I'm particularly, obviously, of course, for Irish rallying with basically the entire M Sport team there, which is good.
It is pretty special, and we'll talk more about that later. But Connor, like we've seen on Saturday evening, the launch of the championship, and I think it really struck a chord. We're back to the glitz and the glamour again.
Yeah, I was delighted to see that because it's been a while since we've had a proper WRC launch, and I was a bit fearful with the fact that we're in flux with regard to, we don't yet know who the new promoter is yet. So I thought, oh, this is going to be a bit, quiet coming into the event. We're not really going to know. So I was delighted to see we had DJs, saxophones, violins, everything, and right in the middle of Monaco. Not in the NEC or not in in what do you call it, in Salzburg or anywhere like that, but actually right in the heart of Monaco. I was delighted with that, and I thought it was really good, and it was great for the teams. Great to see the new liveries as well.
Yeah, because look, it has been almost copy and paste now over the last couple of years in some particular teams. We'll not mention who, but it is. This is a new year, and there's so many changes, and like it really is. Every other year, you're kind of thinking, yeah, there's a kind of favourites and whatever. It's going to be completely different this year. Like if Ogier sticks to his plan, only doing selected events, it's anybody's championship, really.
Ogier is the big question, though, isn't he? And I'm scared I'm being naive in taking him for his word. Because I guess, again, nobody thought it was going to happen, did they, this time last year? Now that he's done it, it suddenly just feels very realistic, even though he's promising potentially 10 events, which of course is one less than last year. So to pull that off would be incredible. But if he's in the opportunity, or he has the opportunity rather, to get the thing over the line, who's to say he won't do it? There's always this question of 10 championships with Seb now. He's equaled low with 9. Does that motivate him? He says no, and I do actually believe him. I think it's not the sole reason he goes about it. Having said that, if he has the opportunity to take it, he's not going to turn it down. I'd be so surprised. So he's the curveball. Beyond that, I think you have to look obviously at Elfyn Evans, who's come so close so many times. I think it's 5 runners-up finishes in the last 6 seasons. So you would think by law of averages, he'll get that one over the line, just like Thierry did a couple of years ago. And you would have to say Elfyn has the best car. Thierry Neuville, again, obvious contender. For me, I'm curious if Formo and Solberg can join that fight. Obviously, Solberg has won an event already, which Formo hasn't, but you could argue, was Formo the moral winner, perhaps, in Saudi Arabia? You take that penalty away. I don't like doing that kind of thing, but you can see he's knocking on the door with first win, and I think if he gets it, that'll really build momentum. But can he establish himself over Thierry inside Hyundai? I'm not sure. But he did do very well last year, particularly actually in Monte Carlo, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him mounting a serious victory challenge this weekend. Solberg, I've been saying around quite a lot that I'm convinced he's going to be world champion this year. And I feel like I have to just triple and quadruple down on that now. So I'm saying it so many times that I've got to stick with my guns. It's a big shout, but when you really think about it, yes, we're all going to end up looking at him as a rookie. But he isn't really. When you think about it, obviously it wasn't a full season, but he drove one of these cars 4 years ago. He had that event last year. He's done so many years now in Rally 2. He's got experience of winning. Winning has become a habit for him. And I think it's very easy to underestimate how big a thing that is. It will help him. I wouldn't expect heroics this weekend, but say he ends up being 5th or 6th best points finisher, what does that mean? A good road position in Sweden.
Yeah. So and as well as too, he's got great experience of events. There's other guys coming into Rally 1 cars that haven't maybe the same experience of events that, Oliver has gained over the last few years as well too. But I suppose even before we start going too far forward, we should probably look back. You were very lucky to attend some of the pre-event tests over the last week. Like, how epic was that? To get in behind the scenes, like, that must have been a real pinch yourself moment.
Do you know,
pinch yourself weak, you never mind a moment.
Yeah, I think, without wishing to sound like I'm being spoiled, there are times where maybe the perception of the job that I do is perhaps better than it is. People see the highlights and they don't always see, I don't want to say struggles, because everybody's in their work has something, but it is quite demanding at times. That sort of week is when it all makes sense. That was a complete cheat code to life. To be there, even be there at all, let alone be there for work, was mental. So I feel tremendously privileged to have been in that position. And yeah, to gain that insight. I think what was interesting is for what we're doing, and I believe at time of recording, the video should be out on our YouTube channel. If not, it's coming soon to Dirtfish. But we were invited to Hyundai on the Saturday, Toyota on the Sunday. They were media days. So they weren't strictly tests. Obviously, the drivers can learn things when they drive the car, and the idea is they take media and VIP passengers out with them in the car. But the teams do that, A, for content, and B, so the drivers can effectively gain a little bit more seat time. It doesn't come out of their allocated 21 days for the year. But that means there are certain restrictions on what they can and can't test. So it's a bit of a sort of, you gain something there, you lose something on the other end. But fantastic for us, obviously. I mean, you're me, and I was the lucky one that got to go and sit in the car in these 2 days. On Monday, we went to M Sport's actual test. So it was quite cool to contrast not just what it's like with the various teams, but also kind of the difference between something that's effectively a hospitality event and then an actual rally test. I've been to tests with like pre-event tests organised by the British Championship, that kind of thing, but I've never been to an actual Rally 1 test. So that was really cool to see. And yeah, to sit in the car. As much as I'm, shall we say, on the larger side, particularly if you're comparing me to Rally 1 drivers, let me tell you, if you are, if you're of a similar size to me, just be warned, if you get the chance to get in these cars, it's not very large. It's quite a sort of, I dare say claustrophobic, actually. Obviously, I think we can all see with the space frame chassis and stuff and the way the roll cage is, but the seats are further inside the car than they have been. So there's not a lot of room. I got elbowed by Sebastian Ogier, would you believe? Maybe he was angry at me. He did apologise for it, which is a bizarre thing. You're saying he's apologized. I'm like, what are you doing, Seb? No, don't apologize to me. I'm sorry for being fat.
You probably heard the podcast when you realised you were like a BRC podium visitor, So
that's it. He hasn't got a junior BRC podium.
No,
I have got that over him.
Yeah.
I'll tell him about that to my series, so that'll go well.
Yeah. I did see a comment. There was a journalist there who recently got a test in a Rally 1 car. I think the comment was, it was like entering your house through your letterbox, just trying to get into the into the car itself.
That's a nice way to put it, actually. There is some footage of me, which I'm hoping never sees the light of day, but I can share what happened with you, where the car was up on the jacks for a start, so that's obviously a bit of an elevation. I'm wearing overalls that are maybe on the snugger side, I would say. So I've not got the best range of movement. Getting in that thing took a couple attempts. That's what I'll say. And it was very ungraceful. It was like trying to push a seal through a small gap or something. It was very odd.
So, Elliot, if you're out there listening, please send us the footage.
No, I'll mess him already. I'll say, don't listen to the podcast and don't listen to what it's telling. I'm sure it'll make some bloopers reel somewhere. But in fairness, I've not actually seen the footage myself. I just know he was recording me. So I dread to think how it looked. It felt embarrassing at the time. But hey, it's one of these things. But it's funny when you're, and again, I don't know if other people relate to this, but I often get imposter syndrome, and particularly in these kind of scenarios where in the case of Toyota, I was sitting with the 9-time world rally champion. I was like, I do not belong here. I didn't belong in that car. So I almost made it worse myself because you're overthinking everything.
Yeah.
You almost want to look like you belong, and but you just don't. And you're better to glean into that. But I think for me, I was trying to be all like calm and composed when I wasn't at all. But yeah, it's a bizarre thing. And it wasn't actually until after the run, and I sort of looked at him in the car. I was like, that's who I sat with. And yeah, he talks to you so you can hear him, but you don't see him. I know that sounds ridiculous, because of course you do.
Because you're so far around back.
Yeah, and you've obviously with the hands device, you've only got so much head movement. You know he's there, but you can't see his face when you're in the car. So, but yeah, it is cool. If you could tell, like, however age old me that I sat with Sebastian Ogier, arguably the greatest driver of them all. It's special.
That's for sure. And then I suppose now Connor will move on now to looking ahead to the championship and now Monte Carlo in a few hours' time. For me personally, I think it's going to be one of the most exciting championships. I have found the fires coming back, whether that's because of the Irish involvement with M Sport or not, I don't know. There's just so many variables. I just think it could be an epic year coming up.
I'm hoping it will be. I think it will be. jumping back a little bit to the conversation at the start of the podcast, you know, we said it's such a short period of time, and it seems it is a short period of time since Saudi Arabia. But an awful lot seems to have happened. And you know, we've now got Hayden Paddon, we have Danny Sordo, we have Esa Pekka back. We've lost Tanak, we've lost Cali Rovanpera, and we have Josh and we've John now. And it seems to be loads, even though we've no new team, no new cars. And I suppose that's the one thing about the car. There's no real updates this year, maybe the odd wing or two, but that's it. So this is the last era. Those cars are probably as fine-tuned as they're going to get for the year. We've no new events. The new events were last year. They're bedded in. I really think we're in for an exciting season, and a season of maybe more unknowns than we've had before. I think Formo's the one to watch. Certainly Solberg is as well. And funny, I know we mentioned Solberg has got used to winning. I think more importantly, Solberg's got used to being under the spotlight and coping with pressure. And I think that was the one thing when his first time with Hyundai in the Rally 1 car, the pressure. And he learnt to deal with that pressure, come away from it, settle his head, and go back to winning. And I think that's probably the key thing that he's bringing to this, rather than experience as such.
If I can just jump in there, actually, because I think what's interesting, and I've forgotten about this, but just hearing you say that, Con, has made me think about it. We will see if he sticks to this plan throughout the year, depending whether it goes well or whether it doesn't. But what's impressed me so far with Solberg is that he's just taking everything as it comes. He's not declaring a big target to the world and saying, I'm going to be world champion. Deep down, will he want that? Of course he will. Will he expect it in his first year? Probably not, to be honest. And I don't think anybody should expect it from him. It's a big ask. And when I say I think he will be, it's not that I'm saying it's going to be a bad season if he doesn't. I just think he's that good that he can actually do it. But yeah, he's just taking it in his stride. He's not doing it for anyone else. He's doing it purely for himself. He's got his own motivation, his own objective, and he's sticking to it so far. As I say, we haven't had any competition, so we'll see how that may or may not affect it. But I think that mindset will really help. If there is any pressure, he's batting it away and not putting it on himself. And, you know, I think actually it's a similar thing to John Armstrong in this sense. And both those guys, I guess Oliver and John, are in fairly public relationships now. And actually, I think it's very, very, again, easy to underestimate the importance of having a happy home life in this kind of, it just takes the stress away. Mm-hmm. And when you're enjoying what you do, the results come. We saw it with John in the Rally 2 last year. And obviously, I'm not saying it's purely because of everything that was happening at home, but it does help. I firmly believe it does. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's a factor that can't be ruled out, I think, for me as well.
Yes, for sure. Because, like, you know, if you're going in there with a clear head, you know, we often hear drivers saying, you know, if you're sitting at that start line and you're thinking about something that's happened at the home, or the dog was sick, you know, before you left the house, you know, you're not in the right place. You have to be just fully focused on what's there, that bit of road that's going to be stretching out in front of you for the next 9, 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to say too much more, but I think it'd be patronising to real rally drivers, I'm guessing. But yeah, I think am I allowed to talk about John? Am I going too early? Am I
No.
Good. Because I have to say I was surprised when I saw it, I'll be honest. I think a lot of us probably were, but not in a bad way. I just didn't expect it to happen now, if that makes sense. It's not the most normal trajectory to go from European Championship, and bless him, not even winning the thing, although I think he was the best driver of the year, to then get the Rally 1 drive. But I think he so deserves it for how much he's really put into this sport, never giving up on any kind of strand. Everything he's done, even we think back to some of the things he's done, like with Codemasters and EA, all that kind of stuff was done, yes, to benefit himself because he's got a stable income, but it's done with an eye on his rallying. Everything he's done has been committed to that. Yeah. So I'm really happy to see that he's been rewarded for it. And I think it's easy to forget how competitive he's been in the junior categories leading up to this moment as well, against the likes of Sami Pyrin, Martin Sesk, who will be in the same car as my points this year as well. So I'm quite excited to see what he can do. Now, we can't get carried away with expectation. It's a big task. And poor Shane Byrne, it's his first WRC event ever.
Monte Carlo,
Yeah, it's a big. I didn't realize that. He told me that at a test, and I was like, "Wow, fair play." That's some way to go, Monte Carlo in a Rally 1. But yeah, I think I'm really excited to see how he works with Josh as well. And Josh has said to me actually before. Well, I think he before I knew that John was going to be his teammate. He said that he didn't want to effectively go down the rabbit hole that had happened last year, where there were these comparisons with McMillan and Munster, because as he said, it doesn't really help either driver. All that kind of stuff is noise. It doesn't affect your own performance. So I think it'll be easy for some people to look at this kind of matchup and think, okay, are we going to have this battle of who can be the best Irishman? And you can see why that conclusion could be reached, obviously backed by the same federation. But I actually think it should work in the opposite direction, in that these guys, they're not only teammates at M Sport, they're teammates in the Motorsport Island Rally Academy. So that should mean that they'll work together better than arguably any other driver pairing in the entire service park. Obviously, if they're fighting for a podium or something, the good friend, best pal energy.
The glove from golf.
Yeah, but I do think that should be a strength for M Sport. We know that they are effectively the underdogs in WRC. But yeah, I do think it's actually quite a dynamic pairing. And I've seen a lot of hate for the livery as well, which surprised me. I really like it.
I think it's clean. Yeah, I think it really works. Because sometimes cars can get nearly overcomplicated. I think it's nice. It's clean. It looks well. I think it'll photograph really well.
I tell you what, though, if we're going to talk about livery season, it's a shame because M Sport normally smashes it, and given they're the ones that normally make a change, Toyota's so clear this year. Yeah. It's such a nice looking car.
Yeah.
Hyundai, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
The marketing was good.
Yeah.
I think they were trolling everyone. That was good. I respected that. The end result, I might feel differently if I see it in person. Right now, I don't know. It feels too blocky. But I respect the fact they've done something different. The Toyota is just so nice.
Yeah.
So nice. Although OJ's one, controversially, I'm not a massive fan of it.
Funny Connor's the same too. He thinks it just doesn't work for him.
I just don't think the bull works with the color scheme on that car. It needs the blue to set off the bull, and it's not doing it for me. Because when I heard that the red bull was going to go to the turn, I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. What's this going to look like? And I was like, oh. Is that it?
Don't get me wrong. There's obviously a degree of aura that comes with the red bull and stuff, and it's not nasty. I just think it's too much in the sense of the two things at the side. You've got the Red Bull logo bull. Not word that badly. We know what we're talking about. You've got a couple of Toyota's own partners that are kind of just stuck on in the same place. But I get they have to be there, but it just looks a bit
very busy.
Weird. Busy is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Back of the car is black, which again, I understand because that's what the main Toyota is. But the front, bit on the bonnet is navy. So the fact it's then black, it just doesn't match. So I think it's just like a missed opportunity for what it could have been. But it is cool to see a driver have their own livery. Do you know it's a funny thing? We're getting very passionate about liveries, but I don't mind that at all.
No.
You saw in the FIA Gala and stuff, you had this end of season reel montage for OJ and Toyota, and it felt odd seeing this car change colour throughout the year.
Yes.
The same season. It was a bit of an odd thing. But I liked it, and it was clever. We even saw it with the race boots in the end, didn't we? That they went from black to silver. So.
Just actually with Hyundai, was it last year they had one colour scheme for Monte and then theirs changed?
That's 2 years ago, believe it or not.
2 years ago, okay.
I still think it's a travesty, because I loved that Monte livery.
It was different,
Yeah.
And to give Toyota the dues, they give a homecoming to Seb and his hometown Gap. I thought that looked really spectacular. I don't know, look, did you get a chance to attend that when you were on your travels? Or it just looked like the crowds on the street, a real welcome home party for Seb.
We were lucky enough to be there, and it was crazy. There was a lot of fever, and it was like a lot. I can't remember what they all were now, but a massive line of historic rally cars, and I just didn't care, and no one else did, to be honest. Everyone was so interested because this obviously was. I have to be honest, it was a strange reveal of this car because we were, to peek behind the curtain here, we were given an embargo of Monday morning for doing anything with the material of this Toyota, which seems slightly strange because obviously it was going to be shown at this event in Gap. on Sunday night. So the power of social media means that it's kind of going to go out there, as it all did. But you can see a lot of folk were sort of questioning, oh, is it legit? Is this real, what they've just seen? Because I think it was Red Bull Motorsports revealed it on the afternoon on Sunday. We still stuck by the embargo we were given, so we couldn't do anything until the day after. But we still got to enjoy the show. And yeah, see the thing in real life. We stood for about an hour, I think, waiting for it all to happen, which again, you know what it's like when you're standing around, it can get a little bit dull. But as soon as he turned up, my word, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Do you know when you're standing in the crowd and everyone just moves at once, this massive collective, and you do the same thing without thinking about it. You're standing where you are and you look back and you've moved like 5 feet in a direction, like you're going with it. So we were at a roundabout. It was basically 2 roundabouts and like a straight in between. So he was doing all sorts of various things. I'm sure many of you seen he had a slight incident as well where he clipped the front bumper against the curb, which I didn't notice actually the damage until afterwards. But anyway, he comes through and he just lit the thing up around the roundabout. It's so impressive to see so many different configurations of stuff. And yeah, he did his best Oliver Solberg impression with the donuts and his best Solberg impression when he got out the car and started waving to the fans. Everything, it was cool. And yeah, so then when he'd done his runs, we were actually accidentally, I say, at the exit of the stage. So everyone just starts piling along, trying to get close to the thing. And one guy was shouting, Seb, 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 20 times just to get his attention. It was the police were getting selfies with him. It was nuts. So it was cool. Much as not.
So, like Thursday night, then Casino Square, they're getting ready to head off into the first stage. Where do you see it falling out? Connor, maybe you'll take that first.
I was going to say, I'm being quiet. I'm going to let to play.
Weather's going to play a part. And looking at the conditions of the weather forecast of the long range, there's a good potential for snow, if not black ice. Anyway, you're looking at -2, -4 for Thursday, something like that. Again, talking to Aaron Johnson, he says it's always the most nerve-wracking, pre-event is Monaco more than any others, because you haven't been in the car for a couple of months, because you're heading into the dark, onto the icy roads. You don't know what you're going to get. And I know in the last couple of years, like, it's been fantastic to watch all the flares and all of that and how those guys drive through that. I have no idea. That it must be so distracted. But anyway, that's not answering your question, is it?
No.
But that's professional stalling, though, Connor.
That's good. He's good at the waffle.
Like how do you look past OJ on Monte Carlo? Like, you just can't. Although I think Formeau is a good dark horse for this event, but again, unless OJ has an issue, I just don't see how he's going to be beat. Home territory, comfortable knowing he's got the title from last year. Yeah, I think it's OJ's.
Yeah, look.
I'd love to say something different to be controversial, but I mean, in fairness, I'm trying to think about previous Thursday nights and how decisive they've been in the end outcome, of the event. My memory's not quite strong enough to really pinpoint it. So whether the actual first evening itself is going to be a massive clue is hard to say, but we have seen people make mistakes plenty of times before. It is, and it's classic cliche, but it is genuinely the worst time to do it. Because you started the season, it's just the wrong thing you need to put on the back foot from the get-go. But yeah, I'm hoping we have a good multi-car battle at the front. And I have to say, as maybe this is controversial to say, I don't think we're going to miss Oit and Cali in Monte. I think we are in Sweden. I'll be honest, I saw the entry, and obviously OJ's not doing that one. And this is no disrespect to the drivers that are left, but it was lacking something. And again, no shade at Takamoto Katsuhito at all. But for him to be third on the entry list, I was like, yeah, there's a few names missing. I don't know. But I think I'm trying to think about something spicy, but I'm with Connor. I think OJ, I think Neuville, particularly on the opening night, will go hard. I think FOMO will be in there. Solberg's a curveball. Evans, again, I'm curious to see if he changes anything in the way he approaches it. I don't expect him to, because as much as you could criticize of maybe missing out in some of these head-to-head battles, he made no mistakes all year last year. So that approach worked. Apart from OJ being a superhuman phenomenon, As he said it to us actually in a media gathering at the media day, I think there's a lot of people look at what happened last year and say, oh, is it fair that he's not done as many rallies? But as Elvin said, he's done 3 events less. That's not an advantage. No. And it isn't. Is it? No. Yeah, fine, it can come with a better road position at times, but he's still given up, 35 times 3? My maths is
105 points, points.
10 points Gryffindor, well done. It's a lot of points to give up, isn't it? Potential points to say. So, I don't know. In terms of an event victor, I think Ogier will lead after Thursday night. I'm going to be bold and just say he's going to be 3rd or something.
One of the things we don't know is what have Hyundai done to fix the car over the last couple of months? Like, how far along is that car for tarmac compared to last year?
Well, so at time of recording, just to again let you inside the behind the mirror, it is a Sunday evening. So I believe Hyundai have potentially spent 2 jokers in that car. I'm hoping that my colleagues on the ground, by the time this podcast goes out, might have an answer on that. But yeah, they do have that in their back pocket. I think the big thing for them, talking to FX Amazon a little bit, was kind of understanding the new car and kind of the way it works. And with the limited testing they have, there's potentially a bit of regret on Hyundai's side that they introduced it when they did. It almost set them backwards rather than forwards. They're confident the car's better, but he didn't have enough understanding of it to really get the most out of it. So yeah, I agree. I think that will be a big talking point this year. But as Terry Neuville said to me, Toyota can't really do much better than last year, and Hyundai can't really do much worse. So you'd hope that somewhere they can come a little bit and meet in the middle. Having said all of that, I think you would be brave to be wagering against Toyota, particularly for the Manufacturers' Championship. Even though Hyundai's obviously gone for this rotating 3rd car strategy, which has worked well for it in the past. I'm trying to think the 2-3 times it's won the championship.
Yeah, they had that.
So that's always worked for them quite well. But Hayden Paddon in Monte Carlo, when he'd driven the car for maybe a day, was into it, right at the back of the field, which is not where you want to be if it's ice. I wouldn't be expecting a lot from him, to be honest. As sad as that is, because I think it's great that he's back. I really do. But I don't think this is going to be his event. But none of them was wanting Monte Carlo, so not.
Yeah, but the only thing is, if there is any black ice and things, all the people will have found it by the time he gets there, so he will be aware of it. I think, like Monte is just one of those, it doesn't really give you a guide for what's going to happen for the rest of the year. But like as Connor says, have Hyundai found something? Hopefully they have, because at points last year it was a Toyota 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in places, and that's not a fair reflection on where Hyundai is or should be.
No, I would agree. And I think one of the things that people maybe overlooked last year was obviously the change in tyre manufacturer was a big thing, but the loss of hybrid as well. Of the 3 teams, Toyota by far adapted that the best in terms of getting the car balance right and everything else. I know that was a particular struggle for M Sport for parts of last year as well. So I think that gave them a big advantage. And this is the thing, is I do like what Neuville said, in that Toyota are a mighty benchmark. They are. It's impossible to deny that. But when you've got, a credible contender who is floundering, like Hyundai was last year, it's hard to really know where it is because its benchmark isn't consistent. But yeah, I think I'm hoping anyway that we have more of an even fight, because we all remember that ridiculous scenario in 2024 when the entire championship went down to the last stage between the 2 manufacturers. It was crazy. You had the 2 chairmen of the brands in the same tent at the end of the stage. It was nuts. That was clearly going to be a slight rarity, but we know Hyundai has the capability to fight Toyota, so let's just hope they can do it.
Yeah, I could think even with Toyota's dominance last year, in fairness, the championship, the drivers' title went down to that final stage as well too, and as much as they dominated, it was going to be a flip of the coin to see how it was going to go. Like if Ogier had run wide or had a spin, or it would have fell to Evans. We're in a very lucky place that the championship is going that way. We've seen 10 less years ago, the championship was a dead duck by the final round.
But this is where I think the WRC is in a weird position, because the competition is amazing. The problem is there's just not enough of it.
Yeah.
And I remember there's a famous quote from, I say famous, I remember it, from Matt Edwards in 2019 in the British Championship, when it was him versus Tom Cave. I don't know if we all remember. But they were basically the two right out front. And the battle between those two was immense. But from the outside, it was kind of disappointing because there was only two cars in the race. Now, fine, there's still a narrative there, and the championship still went down to the wire, so it wasn't like it was totally dead rubber. But when you're in that competition, you don't really think about the fact it's just one right. It doesn't matter. You still push hard. So as a competitor, it'll be incredibly rewarding. As onlookers, you just crave for more and more and more cars to be in that fight. Now, this obviously is a big hope for 2027 and beyond, isn't it? And is that we get more cars in that battle. But I think that is kind of where the issue is just now, is that how tight the field is. You see it in Formula One as well, actually, to be fair. It's stupidly closest out between all the drivers and cars. I think WRC is in a similar position. It's just we don't have as many cars as we'd like in that fight. Yeah, make no mistake, the competition at the very front is incredibly intense. I think the Japan Power Stage last year was the best example of that, but less than a tenth swung the thing in the soaking rain. Quite a long, I can't remember exactly how long it was, but it was quite one of the longer power stages of the season. And those were two title challenges that close together. It was, it's crazy close.
I could think, was it 2017 that Ogier won the title in M Sport, and that was Network Q rally, and wasn't it Evans crossed the line first to claim the one, who Tannick then crossed the line to claim the manufacturers, and then Ogier then to claim the title. That was an absolutely epic day, but it was just one of those weird days that everyone just fell into place.
But you know
that's the drama that this sport can have.
But you know what's terrifying is that was 9 years ago now.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Not good, is it?
No.
Not good.
And I suppose we should look at, we've only touched on the other drivers there involved in too. Payari, he started off very quiet last year, but as the year progressed, getting closer and closer, podium. Does he need to take another step forward, or where do you think Toyota has his expectations? Is it to be consistently on the podium this year?
Sammy's a dark horse, I think. I guess particularly for Monte Carlo, it's not really a rally people are talking about him, but I think it's strange because he's a very capable young guy, and we saw at the end of last year, he got that podium in Japan, he was leading at points in Saudi Arabia. He's made some real progress throughout the year. It was, as you say, I think it was a deliberately quite a steady start. That was effectively the instruction from management, was just get the mileage and build it up. What I'm excited to see is, I think we all saw the difference last year when he returned to events he'd done before. And now, bar, I think, Croatia, obviously, which is new for this year. Well, not new, but it's returning this year. Wasn't there last year. He's done every single rally at least once, if I'm not mistaken. So what difference that will make, I'm curious to see. As for targets, I guess, probably he will be hoping for his first win. Whether he's brave enough to say that on the record, I don't know. But I can imagine inside he'll want to do that. Particularly as obviously Oliver went and did that last year. As much as he would try not to worry about that, it'll be impossible not to compare and think, right, he's done it, so why can't I? What I find interesting is he has been entered under Toyota Guzzi Racing World Rally Team 2. Rolls off the tongue. But I'm not surprised the team exists. It's just clever. It buys them more test days. I'm slightly surprised Sammy's been put in the car. Not because it's undeserved or someone else should have been there, but just it's an interesting insight into where the team view him, I guess, relative to Solberg, who's didn't
the newbie.
Yeah, and he's already in the big team. He's effectively completely replaced Rovenberger. So it's just an interesting insight for me as to where that sits. It makes no difference at all to either driver in terms of what they're chasing for themselves and their own driver's challenge. It's the same car. It's being serviced under the same tent by the same mechanics. It's just registered for different points.
Manufacturer.
I do still think it's an insight into how they view it. So yeah, I find that interesting.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised if he doesn't score. Let's put a number on it, shall we? And you can clip this if it goes badly wrong. I would say 3 to 4 podiums this year, maybe even minimum for Sammy. To be honest, I think he'll do quite well and perhaps better than people expect.
Connor, Takamoto, another one of those drivers, very frustrating at times, some great highs, some very frustrating days as well too. He has to get more consistency, and I suppose we said it last year, but he needs a one.
Yeah, the consistency will come, I think, once he gets the win, and he needs to get the win early. If he doesn't, I don't know if that will just add to the pressure as the year continues. His best hope early in the year will be Sweden. When we look at the last couple of years, he's been so strong in Sweden and has come so close on 2 occasions. That would be, you would think, his greatest hope. If not that, then the Safari. Again, another event early in the season. But if he doesn't get either of those events, I'm not sure what his event would be that would give him the win. In which case, then does the pressure start to build in his own head? Never mind, from the team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's just going to be a difficult one there. And like as you say, look, they have to be odds-on favourite for the manufacturer's crown to retain the crown again.
Yeah, strength and depth, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. With Ogier there, it's obvious. Got Sebastian Ogier, 9-time world champion. Elvin Evans, 11 wins, I think. He's 5 times runner-up. And then, again, I'm quite curious to see how this works, actually, with Solberg and with Taka, if they're going to share the point scoring when Ogier is there. Obviously, when he's not there, they'll both be driving point scoring cars. But in Monte, for example, Taka's not registered for points. Are we going to switch between those two drivers at other points in the year? I don't know. I actually think, I'm sorry, diverting slightly from your question, but I actually think Taka is better off without that responsibility. Just worrying about his own rallying.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'll be curious what that strategy is. See where it goes for the rest of the year. But I did think it was quite telling. I mean, I said the same thing against with Sammy, but that they've trusted Solberg already to score points. I do think that there's something to be said and something to be read into that. But yeah, they don't really have a weakness as a team, do they? Everything is just done properly. But again, having said all that, what response do we get from Hyundai, and how well, as we were saying, does their third driver strategy work? Let's not forget, obviously we're talking mainly about Monte here, but when it comes to Sweden, Lappi will be at the back of the pack. And depending on what the snow and ice does, that could be the best place to be. And we know he can win there. He did the last time he wasn't there. So, that could be a massive ace card for them as well, to have, I guess, a player. And because that's what they missed last year. And compare it to other Hyundai seasons, they just didn't really have a driver towards the rear of the running order. It was always Formel generally who was, well, not always actually, in Sweden he was ahead of his two teammates on the road, but for most of the year he was behind, and he was maybe 5th or 6th on the road. He would have maybe Sammy and all the M Sport stuff behind him, so he never quite got that advantage that you might with the drivers this year. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how those tactics kind of offset themselves.
Yeah, that is going to play out. And then Hyundai, we've kind of touched on Neville. Like he is obviously a world champion, a deserving world champion. Everything that seemed to could possibly go wrong went wrong for him last year. Like, hopefully is all the bad luck out of the way, and we see the Terry we know.
I think he's motivated, and not that he wasn't last year. Just quickly correct myself in case that sounded bad, but he just looks ready for something else, like a new challenge, a reset. Well, as you say, last year, yeah, he made some errors himself, of course, but even thinking about it, at Monte Carlo actually had that, obviously the same hairpin twice. He went off. First time his own mistake, second time due to, I think it was a puncture. But that set the tone, didn't it, for the year ahead? Not always the case on the first opening round of the year, but in Neville's case, that was the tip of the iceberg, really. The whole thing just spiraled. And when you're in that spiral, it's very hard to break it. But he obviously won at the very end of last year in Saudi Arabia. And as we were saying at the very top of this show, everything is now at 0. Thierry's a fighter. He knows that. He's won this event twice before. So yeah, I am expecting Thierry to be a real contender this year. But I think it will tie into just where the I-20 is versus the Aris.
There also, with Thierry, there has to be an element there that he's obviously extremely aware. There's no Tannock, there's no Roving Pair to compete against, so it does help him. He doesn't have those to worry about.
This is true. But as you say, it's a funny one, this, actually. I asked Elvin this question, and it's a silly question to ask a driver because they're never going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, if I win this championship, it doesn't mean as much because a certain person isn't there. But do we have less title contenders in the mix? Potentially. It comes back to that Solberg question for me again. Are we looking at him as a contender? Same with FOMO. If they are contenders, the number's the same. It's just different players. But I do totally agree with your point. I think for Thierry, particularly internally, and I think FOMO will run him hard, but not having Tannock does establish him just that little bit more as number one. They're being talked about as they are the top drivers and they've got the support cast, but I think we all kind of know that it's been Thierry's team for a while. So again, I'm not saying that's going to give him any kind of preference or advantage, but I think psychologically, he will feel like it's sort of his playground again. So yeah, that will breed confidence as well.
Yeah, and Connor, like we've seen the year that Roving Pair didn't do the championship, and we all thought, oh, you know, the championship will suffer from it. By about the third event in, it was like, didn't really matter. You know, it's the guys that's there. You can only compete against who's there, really, and everybody else has to step up, and they usually do.
They usually do, and funny when Roving Pair did return, because he struggled so much with the new tyre, he didn't feature to a certain degree to the extent that we all expected him to come back and walk the championship, and it just didn't happen for him. So yeah, I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, you're competing against who you're competing against, and you know, be it the teams, be it the cars, be it the drivers, and you have to be the best of everybody that's around you. And as Luke has alluded to, you know, how much does Oliver coming into this make a difference? Where is Oliver at mentally to make a difference? Now, does Adrian Fourmeau, is he under more pressure because, you know, there's a more weight on his shoulders, or is he going to be more settled? Who knows?
And I suppose, look, the big story is Lancia is making a return to the WRC. Maybe not at Rally 1 yet, but like it has to be welcomed.
It's massive news, isn't it? I'm going to be honest, and please don't shoot me down for saying this. I'm the wrong generation, I think, to fully appreciate it. But that in itself, because I'm not as young as I think I am anymore. I'm 30 next year, believe it or not, with this beautiful face. But I think
No comment.
that's wise, to be honest. But to get back on track to my point, that in itself shows you how long it's been since Lance has been in rallying at all. Yes, obviously they built this Rally 4 car in the last year or so, but it's not the same thing as having a four-wheel drive car with HF Integrale in the name, is it? It's mega. Am I disappointed to see them not build a Rally 1 car? Yes. Was it realistic to expect them to? No. For many reasons, chiefly obviously the timing of it coming in for this last year. Next year, obviously, we believe Rally 2 cars will be able to challenge for wins. So why would they not build this car? I'm curious to see how good it is, to be honest. It's obviously quite heavily... Well, it's not based on... Well, I guess it is, but it's not a Citroen C3. It's like a Citroen C3 Rally 2 Evo wrapped in a Lancia body, if that makes sense. As far as I can understand, they've taken bits they wanted to do to Citroen but didn't have the jokers available to do. Obviously, with a brand new car, you can do whatever you want before he homologated. So it will be... The Citroen was a good car, and this should be better. So I'm curious to see where it stacks up. But to be honest, part of me doesn't care because it's a Lancia and it's back. So as a sport, we need these stories. Yeah. And it's great that Lancia as a brand, Stellantis is obviously the overarching group, has seen the value in this. I think that's key. And I think actually as well, really sensible driver lineup. Johan Rossell in particular, I think, is a massive star of the future. I think he's a star of the present, to be honest. So I think he's a very good coup, and we've all seen how fast Gryzen is in a Rally 2 car. So yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do, and arguably even more excited to see what happens if any of these things come to the UK and Ireland as well.
That's for sure, yeah. And Connor, we are of that vintage that we appreciate Lancia making a comeback, you know. Like, we remember when they dominated the sport really from the rallying went from Group B to Group A. Like, they were the powerhouse, and that has to be, I think it's a real red letter day to see them back here.
Yeah, no, genuinely as a fan, as a spectator, as a nerd, absolutely delighted to see Lancia back. Just my only, I think it's just unfortunate there is an Italian driver to put in that car. I think that would have been just icing on the cake for them. But yeah, look, we love the Deltas, the Integrale, just like the memories when you think of Group A. It's the Lancia is what you think of, and in Group B you think of the Delta. So it's like they dominated the heyday of the sport. So it is great to see him back, and it's just fingers crossed that this car is competitive from the get-go.
Yeah, and never mind an Italian get Mark Millan back going at maximum attack, would be very happy, wouldn't we? And talk about maximum attack, like this 9-time champion now. I still find quite surreal saying that Ogier's now 9 times as well. How does he still have the motivation to come back? Look, he is superhuman.
Yeah, it's a good question, that, actually. I firmly believe that if he hadn't retired from WRC, that was air quotes for those listening, end of 2021, he wouldn't be here now. That year in 22, he actually was probably one of his weakest seasons ever in a rally car. Only won one event, took him till the end of the year to do it. Went racing, didn't exactly go to plan. But I think that gave him clarity. It gave him that sort of thought process and space to really realise what he had and how good he still is. I think that's the thing. We all can see it in him. There's not really any driver I can think of in history that wants to win more than Sebastian Ogier. He's completely driven by it. He wouldn't be here. Yes, he enjoys driving, and let's not pretend it's not going to be handy for his bank balance to come and do it. But that's not the reason he's there. He's there because he wants to win, and he's there because he knows he can win. And I think that's the crazy thing. He can still win. He's 42 years old, which I know, granted, it's not the way the world's going with medical science and everything else, but to be that sharp, I guess he's got rivals that are 20 years younger than him. and he's still, it is genuinely remarkable. Yeah, but I do think that time away has been what's unlocked that sort of, I guess it is almost appreciation of what he had when rallying. He's not jaded by the whole thing because he can pick and choose when he goes to rallies. That's the great thing. He's living the best of both worlds. He's got that, I guess, chance to be world champion still, unbelievably, but he's able to do it on his terms. He's not going around the world for all 14 events. He's got more time at home with his family. He's winning at life, to be honest. Yeah. Quite simply. But yeah, it's remarkable to see that he still wants it this badly. But I think, again, if he thought he didn't have it, we wouldn't see it. But he knows deep down he's the best. He believes that more than anybody else will. And I think he's got every justification to the way he's been driving at the minute.
Because Connor, well, first of all, we're of an age to think 42 is still very young. But more importantly, this whole thing now about work-life balance, the guy has it. He says that he's not going to be away from rallies when his young fella is off on school holidays and things like that. He is living his best life. He's doing what he loves doing and getting time at home with his family.
Yes, and he's lucky and fortunate, and that comes from the fact he is so good and what he has achieved. I don't think any other driver coming into the sport would be able to negotiate that sort of contract with a team. So, it is testament to what he's capable of. The other thing as well as that whole work-life balance, he's not afraid. He's not picking the soft events that he's always done well on. He will challenge himself. If there's a new event or if there's a new round, typically that's the one he wants to go to, to put it up to everybody else that he can go to a new country, go to a new, event or whatever and go out to win it.
For sure. And then, I suppose then to start wrapping things up, we talked about it at the top of the program or the episode, M Sport, for us, Connor, this is pinch yourself stuff. We've seen up Chris Meek in the past, Aaron Johnson at that, but to have two crews in a top line car, it's just surreal.
look, it's nuts. It's stuff you and I a couple of years ago would have joked and messed around and chatted. Oh, what would our dream team be and stuff. And even before the announcement, when we knew Josh was going to be staying, we had kind of quietly spoken between ourselves. Oh, there's a chance here it could be John, maybe for a round or two. And for us to find out that it was the full championship, to have like, I'm absolutely delighted for the lads, and I'm lost for words, and I'm so looking forward to this year. Like, I love WRC, like I love the Rally One, the whole spectacle, but I just can't wait for this year to get going because I just want to see how the lads get on. And yes, MI Academy, but you have to. I know M Sport is not a works team; they're a privateer team. But the fact that they still take those risks is the wrong word, but that idea of developing young talent, thank God that they're there to do it because it's so, as we saw with Hyundai. They played safe this year. They went back to what they knew. They went back to try and test it, which, yes, okay, that's good for us. We get to know we'll have quality drivers, but you're losing some of the drama, some of the excitement sometimes when you go back to the tried and tested. It's nice to get the young blood in to see what can happen, to shake things up.
Mm-hmm. And look, you have probably less of a blinkered view on this here. Like,
less biased.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Like, we are probably very, zoned in on the whole MI Academy thing. But like what they have done, it has to be the envy of the rallying world to see what can be achieved.
Yeah, well, I think obviously various drivers get to various positions in their career through various means. It's very clear and obvious how much the support and benefit of everything that comes with the Rally Academy is doing for Irish drivers across rallying everywhere. You see it in Ireland, you see it in the UK, you see it in the European Championship, you see it in Junior WRC, and we're seeing it in Rally 1. Last year with Josh, and now particularly this year with the two of them, Josh and John. It is genuinely remarkable. I think the phrase is putting money where your mouth is, really, isn't it? It's investing in, it's actually making the thing happen. It's super impressive to see how much effort and structure and belief and everything else that goes into it. And just like you two, obviously I'm a professional, air quotes again, journalist. So I try very hard not to be biased, and genuinely I don't ever feel any bias when I cover rallying. People are surprising people when I tell them that, but I don't. You do see it for what it is. But I've known Josh and John since, well, not John actually as much, but Josh in particular from the very start of his career. I've known John for a good number of years. Really, at the start of my own career, I got to know him. So I just think it's really special to see them both in this opportunity. It's nice, and I think they both deserve it. Let's just hope they can have a successful year. As we've said many times in this podcast, we know that they are the underdogs for various reasons, but that doesn't mean to say they can't do well. I do think it's a shame for John that Croatia is probably changing its route because that would have been a nice advantage for him, given how well it went last year and everything else and the experience he's had before. But yeah, it's super exciting to see. So I can't imagine how you boys feel. If we had, I don't think even I'm speaking Scotland here in my own head, but obviously I guess you could argue the UK. I couldn't even think of two promising drivers for Scotland to be at that level, let alone the backing in the team to have it there. So yeah, it's amazing. I think it's, without getting political, I think it's just a shame there's not the WRC event to go with it. But maybe one day.
Jamie, looking ahead to Monte Carlo in the start of the season, and I suppose I'm sure the team got a lift with a 1-2 finish in Saudi Arabia, a brand new event and a tough event as well.
Yeah, Saudi was a roller coaster for, I think, all the WRC crews, a bit topsy-turvy. Some people leading and falling back, and all the sort of unknowns with, first of all, with how the stages were going to be and how they were going to develop, and then also, unfortunately, with the punctures, which was a bit, unfortunate for a few of the crews to get sort of suffer with that, and that was certainly how myself and Noit and Martin suffered quite badly with that one as well, from being in such a nice position to really fighting for the win there to round off his at least current WRC career in real nice fashion, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. So, and then obviously the fight with Sasks right at the front as well was really interesting to follow throughout the weekend, and it would have been nice for him to get over the line on Sunday too, from a let's say from a fan's perspective. But certainly, Hyundai were quite consistent throughout the weekend as well. I think the car performed well in the conditions. I think in rough gravel throughout the season we were always thereabouts, and I think the ultimate pace, at least on gravel, has never been such a big question. It's more been the reliability and making sure we're capitalizing on the road positions and putting ourselves in the best position possible for the back end of the weekend. And I think both Adrian and Thierry did and to be fair, Oit as well did a really good job over the weekend, and we were just a bit unlucky not to have all three fighting for the win, just with the sort of randomness of the punctures and bad luck hitting some guys more than others.
Yeah, and then unfortunately as well for Adrian, just with the penalty and that as well, just to throw that into the mix.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was really tough for him, but I don't know, at the end of the day, I think he's also got, really, really big ambitions, above and beyond just an individual rally win. For sure he's looking at a championship further down the line, and I don't think he's been shy about voicing that target as well. So at the end of the day, it doesn't change his championship last year. It would have been great for him to round off the season with a victory, but if you get all of the sort of bad luck out of the way in 2025, and hopefully you can have a more positive start to 2026 and put together a strong championship challenge.
And I suppose not being shy about stating aims and goals, Hyundai have been very adamant after the manufacturer's title, in 2026. So you haven't had a lot of time really since Saudi. What has been done to the car to get it ready for 26? What sort of changes will we see?
Yeah, I think it's been very busy. Also, obviously, with the announcement of Oit after Japan, that meant the guys further up the management chain were kept very busy as well, trying to sort of finalize the details for that third car. So it's been really important also to get Hayden in the car as often as possible and getting back up to speed with the Rally 1 car and what it can do. So it's been vital to sort of get him in as many conditions as possible, because Monte Carlo, to be honest, is it's not easy for the guys who have spent the last 3, 4, 5 years in these Rally 1 cars with all the different conditions and the different tire combinations, and one stage can have 4 different types of tarmac and different grip levels in every corner. So it's not easy for anybody, especially somebody jumping in for sort of the first time in this type of car. So the team were really busy with that, getting him into the factory as well for his seat fitting, getting him and John comfortable with all the controls in the car. Hayden's a very professional, experienced guy as well, so he's jumped from car to car his whole career. So he's very quick at getting familiar with all the tools he has at his disposal, and also understanding the car and the behavior and the mechanical aspect as well. So he can certainly get up to speed quicker than most, I would say. And then besides that, there was lots of testing going on in the background. Also, we were at the test base in Finland before Christmas, trying to do a little bit of preparation and already for Sweden. And then the test base we changed as well after Christmas into 2026. So we were also there doing some more testing with Hayden to get him familiar with the tarmac car on a bit more consistent conditions as well. So there was plenty, and we also did some tire testing with the Rally 2 car. So I think it was also in the public anyway. I think the week after Saudi, we were already back in the car and getting things prepared for Monte Carlo. So trying to get the team in as good a position as possible to fight for all championships next year, or this year now.
Yeah. And you mentioned testing in the Rally 2 car with Thierry and Hayden and that. And I'm presuming that was just purely focused on tires, because they're not involved in the development of the Rally 2 car.
Yeah, exactly. So test days are limited in the Rally 1 car. So and it was obviously a new tire manufacturer for last year, and I think we probably didn't have. Well, none of the teams had limitless knowledge in the tire, so we were maybe a bit behind as well compared to Toyota in terms of the testing and the feedback that they got, because at that point Oliver was still in their Rally 2 car testing before Monday last year. So I'm sure their main team were getting some good feedback there in terms of how the different compounds and where the changeover point is. I mean, it does change from car to car in terms of some of the numbers, but still the feeling in the car and roughly where one tire works better than the other, you can still learn a lot, to be fair, from a slightly less powered car or with slightly different vehicle dynamics. You can still gain quite a lot of information there. So it was useful for us as a team to try and gain as much, all those sort of small details to put into our tire tools to get us better prepared for Monte Carlo this year.
And Jamie, you mentioned the change of test base from Finland. Was that I suppose, was it a business decision with things changing within the organization, or was that more focused on you're looking for somewhere new to actually test out? And maybe did you get everything you could out of being based in Finland for that testing?
Yeah, I think it's been talked about for several years now. At the end of every year, we always have a bit of a chat with the drivers and the engineers to see if there's somewhere better we could test or some different options that we should investigate. And I think it was the right time for us to go somewhere different. I think the new test base obviously has some possibilities to do tarmac testing as well, and that was clearly where we were struggling more in 2025. So it certainly helps us try and target that a little bit more moving forward. And the Finland road was quite unique as well, and I think the drivers have been there so often too that it was quite quite specific, that you could also set the car up maybe too much for that type of road, and it wouldn't even compared to Estonia and Finland, it wasn't perfect in terms of a preparation road for that. So you're always sort of up against it with several different factors there. I mean, you don't want to have a test base and you can only prepare for one single event on the calendar for it. You want to be able to do as much as possible there. And there's also a financial aspect as well about how costly it is to repair the road, or how you get your whole team from wherever you're based out to that test base. So I think there's all those sort of factors that ultimately go into the decision making, and the guys who made the decision ultimately went for the place in France this year.
And we're into the last or the final cycle of these cars. This is their last year. Is there any more jokers to be played? Is there any more tweaking can be done, or really is this where we're at with regard to the Hyundai?
Yeah, to be honest, I think we had quite a big development year last year with the Evo coming in, and ultimately I think it's fair to say that there were a few things that we weren't expecting that came out during the season last year, where we had some maybe more reliability issues than we're expecting, and also some of the new parts maybe weren't performing quite as we expected as well. So we had to then spend quite a lot of time testing and developing even the Evo car. So I mean, we still have a long list of things that we could ultimately try in the car and try and still develop and test. But like you say, it's into the final year of these cars, so you need to put your best possible package that you have on and try and make the most there. So obviously during the winter we were very busy sort of finalizing what jokers we were going to use for 2026. So that's more or less been finalized now, and that should put us in a better position for the new season.
And from your own personal perspective, with the loss of Oit, with his retirement, with Adrian only having 1 year in the car, and now we have Hayden and Esa-Pekka and Danny coming in, is it harder from an engineer, to get consistent feedback then with, I suppose with one car where there's a lot of changes, and then with Adrian being so new to it, does that make it harder for yourself just to have that consistency in feedback?
Yeah, I think probably where that was more prevalent was during the development testing for the Evo. So during the sort of 24 season, I think we had lots of different drivers jump into that development testing, and ultimately maybe Oit didn't do enough at that point in the year. So then whenever he was driving it this season, he had a few surprises, or we as a team had a few surprises, because his feedback is quite different to the other guys, or can be. He's generally a very good at development, and he's quite sensitive to certain aspects of the car. So yeah, we were playing catch up a little bit with Oit and trying to get him comfortable in the Evo throughout last season. But no, I mean the other guys are still very experienced, in terms of setting a car up and how they like it. So Thierry will jump in any car, and his feedback is normally quite consistent. And then yeah, obviously Adrian's done quite a lot of driving throughout his short career now as well. Even in the Puma, he was doing lots of testing there, and also lots of time in the simulator. So he's, his feedback is very good, and it's on a very high level. So yeah, the new guys coming in, obviously EP is quite familiar with the car from before. Okay, the Evo is probably showing some strengths for him as well, because he hasn't driven the Evo yet, but before Christmas when he was at the test base, he was quite positive of what we've done there. So I think it's sort of it's improved the areas that he was targeting whenever he was previously in the car. So that's good from our side. And Danny's actually been in the car quite a lot anyway, even last year, because he was doing quite a lot of the what we'll call the rollouts in Germany. So before the cars sort of go out to each event, he would normally be the guy jumping in the car to take it for a spin. So he was always sort of giving us good feedback there, even though it was just a sort of a procedural thing. It was still good for him to be in the car. So no, I think all the guys will get up to speed as quickly as they can. And as well, I think it's been sort of talked about publicly anyway. The third car is ultimately there to try and support as best as possible the top two guys. So yeah, any chance we get to sort of fight for a win, of course we're going to take it. But yeah, none of them individually are really going out there to target winning every time they're in the car. So yeah, I think that also maybe allows them to sort of focus on the important things and not try and go sort of 105%. They can try and be as sensible as possible as well.
And as we mentioned, it's the last year of the Rally 1 cars. Has there, I suppose, from the team's perspective, have they enough now to start working on looking at what will be 27 onwards?
Yeah, I think ultimately that's Andrew has sort of come in to target that aspect of the business moving forward. So he's looking at all those options, and between him and Cyril, he'll decide what's best for us as a team moving forward. But yeah, to be honest, I don't have any more detailed information than what maybe the public do at this moment in time.
And Jamie, you maybe had a bit more of an interest in the Dakar Rally, which was on recently than normal.
Yeah, I did. So it's going to be, well, ultimately my last event with Hyundai was Saudi Arabia. So yeah, I got a new opportunity over the Christmas break as well. So I'll be heading back to my previous team, M Sport. So I'm going to go there to be their sort of lead or chief engineer in the Dakar program. So it's a nice time for me as well to sort of take a break from the WRC for a few years and see what another program has to offer, because next year would be my 10th year in the WRC. So for some of the similar reasons as well to Oit, that it's a very intense calendar ultimately, and doing so much testing and all the events and all the recce's, it was almost 180 days actually on event last year. So and also spending time in Germany at the offices there, as well as trying to spend time in here in Northern Ireland. So yeah, decided that it was the right time to try something different and also take a bit of a step up professionally. So yeah, looking forward to that challenge, and it's nice to see. Yeah, nice to be back with the guys at M Sport, and you can see Ford are putting a lot of sort of resource behind the Dakar program, and it looked really interesting and looked good on the stages this year. And ultimately, we're a bit unlucky not to actually get the win. So it's plenty of clear targets to work towards for Dakar 2027.
And will this be a completely new, like when you were previously with M Sport, did you have any exposure to the Dakar program when it was starting then?
Yes, I ultimately I did, but not so much, to be fair. I think at that point there wasn't so many guys on the WRC program, or let's say I was maybe the most experienced guy on the event side from WRC. So I was taking up a lot of that work, so more, focusing on WRC and trying to help the other engineers as well. So I was, let's say, not focusing so much on the Dakar stuff. It was more of at that moment in time, it was more of a distraction, I would say, than really a help. But no, I mean, even the guys, right at the start who were, building the mule cars and the development, they were really doing a good job, and like we knew that from, the whole team knew that as well. There were some really experienced mechanics there, and some good designers, some good engineers working on the program from the start. So no, it's good to see that they've ultimately built a really strong car, and fighting for several stage wins this year, and really right in the mix for the overall victory already. After only a few years competing is really positive to see, and it's nice to see M Sport, a program at M Sport right at the very front, and just ready to win as well. So hopefully we can work together strongly as a team and really push for that win next year.
Massive thanks to Hayden Paddon, to Luke Barry and Jamie McMillan. And as Jamie mentioned in the chat, he's, I was going to say, going to pastures new, but he's returning to well-worn pastures, back to M Sport. Very exciting project now to be involved in with M Sport and Ford for the Dakar. So wishing Jamie all the best when that gets underway in a couple of months' time for him.
That's for sure, yeah. And Hayden Paddon returned to WRC as well too. Like, he has been so good to us over the last few years as well too. He's given us his time, and also we wish him all the best now for the season ahead. So that's the latest episode of Crunching Gears, the Rally podcast. Please like, share, rate, subscribe, and until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
That's the proudest day, and the proudest time, and the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets, and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.